All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I am Harshal Vora, product specialist with QMetry, and alongside with me we have Puneet Samtani, my fellow colleague and a QMetry expert who has been in the industry for more than 15 years now, working on different products, helping customers with their uh, test management, test automation, and quality ops needs. Hi, Puneet, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Harshal, for a brief introduction, and welcome everyone to the webinar of reports.
Sure, sure. Thanks, Puneet, for agreeing to do this. I think it's very essential when we talk about agile and DevOps, right? And we don't talk about reporting quality metrics, right? Uh, I know test management, test automation, and DevOps are very important, but the last puzzle or the last piece of the puzzle is reporting or metrics, which gives an overview of the health of the software, right? And I feel that's where it's very important for any kind of QA teams or DevOps teams to get those, identify those reports, identify what are those quality metrics, and get them as part of their process, right? And Puneet, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Qmetry has crafted out a very unique test reporting architecture, right? Which not only allows users to create system reports, but we can also create uh, custom reports or using the visual analytics, right? Rather than cumbersome queries, there are some visual analytics that can be leveraged to create reports.
Correct, Harshal. You're absolutely right. So, for any testing team, it is very important that before they ship their particular project or a product, the reports play a very important role where it helps them to decide whether to go out in the market or not. Is the feature shippable and ready to go to the customers or not? And that's where the reports help. Now, if you talk about system reports, yes, Qmetry has a lot of system reports which are as per the best industry best practices. However, how much you try uh, adding the system reports, it's always not enough. And every team has its own defined processes, have their defined custom fields, and everybody have their own way of reporting to their stakeholders.
Yeah.
And that's where the Qmetry custom reporting module comes into picture, which helps such teams to build up their custom reporting without changing any of their existing processes and adapt to Qmetry.
Okay.
So whenever teams are working on different tools, it is very important that they they are still capable of giving the same reports to their stakeholders and not changing themselves, whereas the report is helping them to generate the same reports that they were using
Hmm.
or they are using. So that's
Okay.
where Qmetry custom reports come into picture.
Sure. Sure. Now, before we go into the Qumeri reports, right? I just want to quickly touch upon like top reports that I feel as a QA practitioner I have seen, which are very important when you're looking at the agile and DevOps. Uh, when I definitely want to look at the RTM or the requirements traceability metrics, right? As because it gives me an overall picture of the entire process. Uh, that what's the user story, what's the requirement, what are the test cases, and how those test cases go about, right? So that's number one on my list. And the second report that I would definitely interested is the bug report, right? Which is what are the top issues or top defects found during a sprint or during a particular release. Um, and Apart from the top defects, I also want to understand what platforms or what environments my test cases have been executed, what are the environments which have not been executed, uh, and the overall coverage, right? Test coverage. I know those are some of the important reports that I usually look for. What are some of the reports that you see as top reports for any kind of QA teams?
So the similar ones, the most one that is the most popular report is the traceability report that gives you an end-to-end picture, which clearly tells you that your requirement is linked to how many test cases and
Mm-hmm.
was it executed and what are the on which platforms it was executed and what is the execution status for them. So let's go through those reports in Qmetry.
Sure.
What do you
Yeah.
say?
Let's without much further delay, let's go ahead and go into the reports. And you being an expert, I would like to see what you have in store for us, and I might ask some questions.
Sure. So if you once you log into Qmetry, you will see there are Qmetry system reports. Now let's talk about the most popular ones. These are kind of 14 different dashboards that we have. The most popular one is the traceability report. Now, the traceability report tells you an end-to-end summary of your requirement and what is the execution status for your specific requirement. Now, the traceability report can be generated into three ways. Mostly, a lot of teams love trace by requirements. So once you click on the trace by requirements, Qmetry allows you to select your requirements based on multiple filters like releases and cycle. We'll take a quick example of one of the requirements and try to generate a traceability report for it. The traceability report gives me a clear idea that my requirement was linked to which test cases, which test suits it was executed, what is the execution status of these test cases, against which platform, release and cycle this particular test case were executed, and if there are any open bugs, you can see that in the traceability report.
Awesome, awesome. So it's an overall picture of the entire uh, sprint for a particular requirement, right? And in a
Absolutely
sprint, you
right.
might have like 10 requirements or more than that. You can get the wholesome view in this, right? So yeah, and definitely this is the most important report. I think it topped in both of our list that the requirement traceability is number one for sure.
Correct. The second one goes is the top issues report,
Mm-hmm.
which tells me that which is the issue that is impacting to most of my executions. So if you see that this is the top issue report that comes out of the box with Qmetry, and it gives me list of all the issues and their linked test cases or the usages. So the first issue that you see on the screen is linked to three different executions, which is blocking them. And it tells me that what is the status of those issues, whether those are done or they are still in progress or in to-do status.
Okay. Nice, nice. So,
Another
and one thing I noticed here is this is for a particular project, right?
right.
This is
So
not a
you can
cross-project
filter.
report.
So you can filter based on multiple projects.
Oh,
So
nice,
you do not have to go and switch your space to a different project. You can just go and change the project and just generate the report.
nice. So now it will have for both the projects, Mac as well
Yes.
as Watch.
Yes. Correct.
Nice, nice.
So moving ahead with one of the very important reports that the normal testers who are doing executions day in day out in Qmetry, for them my dashboard is a report that is very important. Now my dashboard report gives them a clear picture that how many test cases are currently which they have created, how many were executed, how many are pending, and how many issues that they have found, and what is the status of those issues. So my execution, my dashboard gives a very good statistics to the testers about their day-to-day progress in Qmetry or the work that is assigned to them. If you see, there are very good important, very important reports here which tells them about their executions. So let's take an example here. So if I just want to see what are the executions that are assigned to me, I can just go and filter it based on multiple dates and apply.
Great, Puneet. So, what do you have in the execution summary report, and how is the execution summary report helpful?
So execution summary report gives you a clear picture about your current status of execution in the project release or cycle. So it tells you that on a daily basis, what is the execution progress that the team is making, the overall status of your execution, that how many test cases are passed, which were planned, how many are still not run or not applicable or blocked or failed. It also
So,
gives you.
sorry to interrupt you. So, all the like, if I want to look at what are the block test case executions, like, how do you?
So you can just click on these reports, and these reports will drill down you to the list of all the test cases that are currently in the blocked status.
Awesome. So, these are drill down reports. You can drill down into them. Okay, nice.
Yes. You can also export this information into an Excel by just clicking on the export button.
Okay, nice.
It will also give you an issue summary, that how many issues were raised and what is the current status of those issues, and a different test execution progress, that for a particular test suite, how many platforms were linked to it, how many test cases were part of it, and the drill down information that how many of the test cases are blocked, failed, or passed against those test suites. A similar report would be available for the platforms. So the platform summary by test suite will give you an idea that for a particular platform, how many test cases were supposed to be executed and what is the status of them.
So, what do you mean by platform in this report?
So the overall, uh, the test suites would be grouped by a platform. Like in the above one, if you see the test suite summary, execution summary was grouped by entity key of the test suite. If you want to see a grouping based on the platform, then platform summary report would be helpful.
So a platform is like it's a collection of browsers you're testing against, or it's mobile devices you're testing against, or OS versions you're testing against. So that's it. That is platform.
So
So it
platform
gives you
is a
an
kind of an environment on which you are currently doing the testing.
okay. So it gives an overall view of entire thing.
Yes, correct.
Got it. Got it.
Okay.
All right. So like I guess these are great system reports, but as you know, right, every team needs to create their own reports. They have their own processes, and they would like to create their custom reports, custom dashboards that they can share with stakeholders. They can email those dashboards to their executives. So how do you create custom reports in QMetry?
Okay. So once you log into QMetry, you will see three different menus here. One is QMetry Insights. Now, QMetry Insights allow you to write the custom queries in QMetry. So on the QMetry menu, you will see three different tabs. One is QMetry Insight. Now, QMetry Insight allows users to write or build their own custom queries. QMetry Custom Dashboard gives you list of all the reports or all the gadgets that users have created using the custom query section. My gadget will show you the list of all reports that are created by you, and shared gadgets will display reports that are created by other users and are shared with you. Now, Qmetry Custom Dashboard allows you to create your own dashboard using the custom gadgets. Now, these dashboards can be a combination of any of your system reports. So all the system reports in Qmetry can be added as a gadget to these dashboards. My gadget gives you list of all the custom reports that are created by you. and you can also pick up from the shared gadgets, which is a repository of gadgets which are created by other users. Now let's
Okay.
go to QMetry Insights, which is the most important piece uh, of creating a custom report. It's divided into two sections. One is visual reports, and the other is advanced query reports. Now, visual reports is specifically designed for business users who can create simple to complex custom queries or custom reports that are very specific for their use. So once you log into the visual reports, it's basically divided into two sections. The first section that you see on the screen is the test entities section, which you see are issues, requirements, test cases, executions, and test suites. And below the test entities, you will see the list of the fields that are part of that specific view. Now, these test entities are very similar to the QMetry modules, and from the name, it would suggest that which kind of fields would be part of these views.
This is awesome, Puneet. So now, why don't you show us how you can create a complex report using this great visual reporting?
Sure. So let's take an example. If I want to see what is the execution status of the test cases that were planned for the sprint, and what is the current progress on them. So I have chosen executions test entity view in the visual reports, and I would just need three fields. The first field is my sprint name, which is called as cycles in QMetry. The other field that I would need is the count of the executions, which is the test case key. And the third field that I would need is status, the execution status. Once I select the fields in the column header, now I have multiple options. For example, if I want to call my cycle as sprints, so I can go and just rename the alias of it and call it as sprint. Also, since I want to get an idea, overall idea about my sprint, I would do a group by on the sprint. The other is the test case entities. So I would need the count of the executions that were supposed to be done for this particular sprint. So I would need a count. So I would go to math operation and I would just select the count. So this will give me the count of the executions. I can again go and change the name of it and say, I would just say it as count. And the third is the execution status. So I would need to do a group by on it. So once I create a tabular chart out of it, QMetry gives me a clear idea, the report gives me a clear idea that for the sprint September 2017 launch, how many of my test cases were in the blocked status. And similarly, it will give me an idea for the failed, not applicable, passed, or not run status. Now, since I have got the raw data, I can anytime go and change the view that is more presentable. I can just pick up the cross table view here. That would give me an idea that for which sprint, what is the execution status is. Now let's change the view a bit. I would have like to have the sprint as in the row and the columns as the execution status. So you see how easy was it was for me to quickly generate a report that tells me that what is the current progress of my each sprint. That there were close to 15 test cases that were planned for execution, and it tells me that how many are blocked, failed, or passed at this point of time.
Nice.
Now, I can also quickly go and see the summary here. I can switch off or switch off the summary. Now, if I just want to change the view of my report, I want to get it as a column report. I have to just change my view as a column and have to just readjust a couple of the fields here and just try to regenerate the same report. Now you see how easy it was for me to change the report from the tabular view to the cross table view and then to the column view.
Nice. So here, any kind of whether it's a business user or a, a tester, they can generate this report using this visual analytics or visual
Right.
reports, right? And they can
Yes.
have a nice graphical representation or a tabular chart, which gives them overall status per different execution cycles or sprints, right?
Correct. So Harshal, let's take an example. If you as a QA manager tell me that you do not want to view the not applicable status as
Mm-hmm.
part of the report. Now, see how easy it's for me to just go and filter my report and just remove the not applicable column. So this is the execution status column that I have, and I would just go to filters and I would select as execution status not applicable. So enter. I have applied the condition, and when I regenerate the report, the not applicable column is no more available in the report. So playing with the reports is very easy, and generating the reports is very easy.
Nice, nice, nice. That's
Now,
awesome.
once the report is generated, how do I save the report? So I can save the report by clicking on Add Gadget and give it a name, Execution Summary based on Sprint. Once I save the gadget, this gadget will be available in the QMetry custom gadget section. Since this gadget was created by me, it's visible in my gadgets execution summary based on sprint.
Nice, nice. No, this is great. So anybody can go ahead and create their own report without doing any kind of complex data mining or doing any kind of data queries. But how about, say, if you want to write a complex query, right? Say this was a simple, you just use three fields to generate your report, but I want to create a cross project report which gives me overall health of the software with the requirement coverage, test coverage, as well as if you want to bring some Jira fields into the picture, right? How would you create certain reports where you have some custom fields or you have some Jira fields that you want to create reports against? Is there a possibility in QMetry that you can create such reports?
Yes, that's definitely possible. You can use visual reports. However, I would prefer to use advanced query reports
Mm-hmm.
because it gives me more power. And since users who know how to write basic SQL statements, they can create custom queries and can modify them based on the needs that are specified by the QA manager.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk more about the advanced query reports. Now, advanced query reports gives me an overall database view of the whole Qmetry data in just 15 tables. So if you see, all these 15 tables are kind of named in such a way that you can guess what kind of data would be available in these 15 tables, and these 15 tables are always in sync with the Qmetry transactional database. Now once you expand each of the tables, you will see what kind of different fields are available in this view. If you see that, if I take an example of issues table. Now issues table is something that would have Qmetry own issues, as well as, since Qmetry has a very strong integration with Jira, it would also have Jira fields. And at times there can be some custom fields that you are managing, so that information is already also part of the issues table. So if you see, whichever fields that are appended with the name Jira are, kind of fields that are imported from Jira, and the fields that you see are appended with Qmetry underscore. You will see that these are all custom fields that are part of my reporting structure. The 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 middle section of this view allows you to create custom reports. Let's take an example. If I just want to create a traceability report that was very similar to the one that we had, that we displayed in the system reports, and I want to enhance the same report with few more fields. So let me just pick up one of the custom gadgets that I have already created. So this is how a particular select statement was written to get the advanced query view. This gives me a clear picture of the complete traceability between the requirements, the test cases, the test executions, and it allows me to add some more value to some more fields to it. Like I just want to get the requirement priority also as part of my my existing traceability report, since priority plays a very important role uh, in my decision making. So you can use the advanced query module and start updating the report. Using the smart query editor, once you type the table name, Qmetry will start auto suggesting you the field names.
So as a
Requirement.
user, I can also create report as you're showing across multiple entities, right? Not only just
Yes,
issues report or just test case report. You can have test case versus issues versus requirements and everything.
right. So if you clearly see that in this report, I have taken some fields from the test executions. I have taken some
Wonderful.
fields from the test cases. I have also joined the issue module
Mm-hmm.
because I needed a cross table report that gives me an overall picture of my traceability.
And this can be
So
done
you
through
can,
visual reports as well.
I'm sorry, Harshal.
This can be done via visual reports as well.
Yes, this can be done via visual reports.
Nice.
However, uh, the advanced query reports gives you more power and more flexibility.
Yes, I can definitely vouch for that. Yes.
Yes. And there are a lot of filters that you can apply. You see that I have applied a filter on project release cycle, and I have done multiple group by and other uh, comparison to generate a perfect report that I was looking for.
Sure.
So now, since I have added the requirement priority in this report, and I generate it again, based on the filters that I have provided here, Qmetry will ask me to select a release on a cycle. And once we run the query, you can see that the report will now also show the priority field, which was previously not part of my report.
Nice. Nice. And this has data from Jira and Qmetry both, right?
Yes. So this has data from Jira, Qmetry, test case module, issue module. test execution module, all the different uh, modules have been combined together to get a single report.
Nice. Now, a lot of the times, right, users have multiple tools, and the automation might be running in their automation framework, and uh, their manual testing is done in a test management tool, and the reporting is done in the third party tools, maybe in Confluence or a Tableau kind of reporting tools. How do you collate all the data? That's the biggest pain point as a QA team member or a QA manager. That's the biggest pain point, right? There is no single view for viewing everything in one. How much was automation, how much was manual, how much passed, how much failed against stage, and do I have enough coverage for my testing? How do we get that? How do we get in a one place?
Yes. So that is possible in Qmetry, and that's where dashboards play a very important role. So using the visual reports or the advanced query reports, users can create their gadgets, and these gadgets can be added to the dashboards. Now, if you see on the screen, I have created a project health dashboard that has multiple gadgets on the screen. Like I have a gadget on defects, I have a gadget on the execution automated summary. I have some information about the defects and their priority. Overall, the execution summary. So there are close to 10 charts that we support, and a single gadget will have all the charts and all the kind of tabular reports or the cross table reports as a part of a dashboard.
So I saw
So
an interesting report in there, which was showing the test case progression, test case execution progress, right? Uh, Now, is this something which is around the burn down chart where this was
yes, so
my.
this test case execution progress actually tells me that uh, I am allowed to select my sprint start date and end date,
Mhm.
and based on the selection, it tells me that what is the execution progress of my test cases. That means how many of them are passed, on which date, how many of them were failed, and it will give me an idea that uh, how is my team progressing
Great.
through an area chart.
Nice.
And if you want to see that for a specific module, what is the execution status for each of my module in my sprint, you will see that this report tells me that for my particular release and sprint, for each module, what is the execution progress.
Mhm.
So from here, I would get a clear idea that which of my module is lagging and where I have to put more resources.
Nice. And
Now,
how about getting this entire report in one place, right? Where I am tracking for all the projects or all the initiatives throughout the organization, right? How do we get this report in that one place?
okay. So answering to your question into two halves. Now, how to get information for multiple projects? The first thing, so every report that you have created can be generated for multiple projects. So let's say I want to generate this report for watch project and Mac project. I can select multiple projects and say apply to the filter, and I will get an overall idea about both the projects. Now about sharing these reports with to the third party tools or with other users, the world is changed. Uh, Definitely, you can use a scheduler to schedule these reports and send it to your team members
Mm-hmm.
at a specific time daily or weekly or monthly. However, everybody likes to see a real time progress or real time or real time data in the reports.
Yeah.
So that's where you can use an embedded URL. So embedded URL allows you to create a URL that is that shows you the live data, and whoever has access to this URL can see the reports in view only mode. So let's take an example. I created this embedded URL, and I can paste this URL in Jira or Confluence or any third party tool which supports data reading via embedded URL. Or
Mm-hmm.
I can share this with my project manager or my executives who may not have a login in QMetry. However, if they want to see the reports, then they can see the complete dashboard and verify the progress. So what I've tried to do is I've tried to create this URL, and I'm trying to generate the reports in incognito mode, which tells me that without login to QMetry or even from the third party system, I can view the reports in a read only format.
Great, Puneet. So this was really awesome in terms of reporting, and I feel this answers a lot of questions around why reporting and test metrics are important, right? And how Qmetry is enabling the testers and users of the system to come up with uh, a robust reporting module, not only via your system reports, but also through this whole Qmetry insights and visual reports. That was a very powerful tool, which allows the users to create this kind of cool reports, whether it's a donut report or an area chart report, or this is really good. Uh, any thoughts, any words of wisdom that you have for users when they are creating or using this kind of custom reporting tools?
Yes, definitely. I have words of wisdom for the users. So not everybody in the team may have an idea how to create a SQL reports. Specifically, most of our users are testers. Uh, they are not like developers who can create complex, advanced reports. So what testers can do is testers can create a very similar report that using the visual reporting module. Just like if you see on the screen, I have created a dognut chart using the visual analytics reports. Now, these reports can be copied in a SQL file. So, to give an idea to a user who is an expert in SQL and can write the SQL queries, Qmetry gives you an option to export the query that is created using the visual reports. You can share this query and directly use this into visual analytics in the advanced query reporting module and play around these reports. Or you can share these reports with your SQL expert and tell him that, these are the slighter modifications you want to do in the report, and they could easily do it for you. So the auto generation of SQL queries uh, of the reports created using the visual reporting tool is very helpful. And whenever you try to create a report, always try to create it using a sample data instead of creating the report directly on your production project, because that would confuse you a lot. So try to create a sample project in Qmetry. Try to have limited data and first create a report. Just check whether it gives you the correct data, and then use that report for your real production project.
Awesome, awesome. No, that's good. Thank you again, Puneet, for such a wonderful presentation, wonderful walkthrough of Qmetry reports. And thank you everyone again for tuning in and listening in for this excellent reporting webinar. And yeah, be safe everyone. It's crazy times. Everyone's working from home, and that's why these reports are very helpful to analyze the data points that we have. So thank you again everyone, and thanks Puneet.